And this community announcement is to bring awareness to the possibility and the effect of those who are shortchanging the power holistically throughout the body, first starting locally and then branching outwards. And one of the ways they are doing it is to do their will instead of the Father's will. To do anything they can to replace the Father's will with their will. And to accomplish that, they will drag down anyone that they can with them to accomplish it. So everyone else who needs to be prospering in spirit and body as in health and other areas to go into perfection, they are having that other individuals will accomplish at their expense in different areas. And how they go about doing that is to go to one or the other extreme so that they can make it appear as if they're doing a good work, as if they have good intentions up front before everyone else. However, when they go extra spiritual or they go extra physical in certain areas, they cause others to suffer to such extents so that they can satisfy their will and, if possible, have anyone else to co-sign with them too, so that they are comfortable in doing their will. So this is not to diminish anyone who is actually doing the will of the Father. And it's a great tool to reflect in. That way you don't get carried away in dissimulation, nor drawn away after your own lust, after your own desires. Because we not only have the flesh to check, because we have to diminish the flesh, its will, its desires, its functions, its nature for the spiritual, for the inner man, by learning the things that are legitimate from the Word, including the Apocryphal books, the application of them, of the Word itself, and how the Father positioned you and designed you for His purpose. That way, His yoke, you know that His yoke is easy and His burden is light. And His commandments are not grievous, but they lead to life. And as you grow and continue to go into perfection, His Word, especially His commands, are there to instruct you unto life, to perfect you, to prepare you for the kingdom. That way, not only do you know how to go into the kingdom, but also how to express the kingdom through His Word, especially by His commandments, the Torah, the law, statutes, commandments, in more depths and areas in your daily progress. There have been a few ministers, for example, especially one who has said in one of their messages, they said in the title of the message, "Where is the power?" So the power is in walking in the Ruach HaKodesh. The Ruach HaKodesh is supposed to help you conform to his Son, to the Father's Son, to Yeshua HaMashiach. And through the years and your willingness to learn as well as to unlearn the things that you used to do before the knowledge of the truth, before the faith, especially to get prayer, deliverance, and break curses, as well as generational curses off of you and your descendants in this, and you gradually take the progress a little here, a little there, to go into perfection, even if it's leaps and bounds here and there, and then you cool off and you go about your business and your life on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, to where you're growing, you're getting perfected, you're improving, and especially the kind of work you do, whatever labor it is, your goals, your task, and everything else that you put yourself to are things that are suitable in the sight of the Father. Because there are plenty of things out there in the world. So not just the flesh, the mind of the flesh, what it likes and what it desires, what seems good to it, the things that appeared good to the old man, but also what looks appealing from the world, especially those low base things that used to catch your eye before you was in the knowledge of the truth, before you was in the faith. So those low base things, especially those fancy things that try to quote unquote tickle your fancy and draw you in by appearing good. And then you have the third source too, to remain in sobriety of, to be sober-minded of, is the people, places, and things where there's evil at. Either you just go around them, or they come to you one way or another, and they're being inspired or used by the devil and his demons. So in those three, the flesh, the world, and the adversary, it helps to be refreshed in your understanding and your memory, so that what you do unto the glory of the Father, and you don't get pulled away and distracted by these devices out here, and whatever is still there from the old nature, as well as what will try to pull in on your interest, that try to lead you astray. Because there are people out there, individuals, especially among the body, where they will seek to do their own will to satisfy these other alternative desires instead of doing His good pleasure. They have something in their minds or their members that want to do their its own pleasure. So in that, learning to do his good pleasure instead of what pleases you to support your own self and to drag others down so that you can have it your way, you have to consider and reflect as well too. What you're doing, what you're thinking, what you're saying, is it pleasing the Father? Is it helping you to do His will? Is it helping you to at some point be conformed to His Son? And as mentioned a few moments ago here, going hyper spiritual as well as going hyper physical. Everything has its own perspective, place in life, especially according to His Word. So when you add and subtract from where you're supposed to do this over here and that over there, that's where it brings in the confusion. And to try to make it happen, that's where the extra effort that is not needed, complicating the whole process to make it happen at the expense of others, is what has to be looked into and reflected on and checked. That way, you can still continue to operate within the will of the Father. And not forgetting too, there's all types of troublers to the body as it is. The witches, wizards, warlocks, the people who don't believe, the people who just want you to go back to the old man, back to the former lifestyle, back to the mire, back to the vomit, back to the old you, the you that they used to know before you was in the knowledge of the truth, before you was in the faith, before you was born again and regenerated by His Spirit, by the Ruach HaKodesh. You have to keep an eye and awareness of them too when they're trying to make a move on you. Either you see it with your own eyes, you catch it with your own ears, or you catch it one way or another with your senses and your awareness to what's happening to you or around you. Because there's still plenty of people out there, individuals who are still being influenced and used by the adversary to try to go out there to kill, steal, destroy, and if possible, devour someone or something. Because they're doing the lust of their father, the devil. And it's mentioned in the other thing too is that where it's mentioned in Ephesians, where we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, world rulers, powers, of the darkness, and masteries, and the like. See, whenever you're whenever the devil is trying to use someone or something against you, and you notice that it's affecting you, and you gotta push back, see, it's not like you're fighting against flesh and blood. How we miss it? How is this missed? It's a surprise. Because it's easy to be rocked to sleep, to have the wool pulled over your eyes. See, these high-ranking demons using people, places, or things to try to come against you through various means. Those demons will not give up without a fight. So you have to come against them and use what the Father gave you to overcome and defeat them. Sometimes they're there because the devil sent them. Sometimes they're there for people don't like to talk about it, but it's for your it's for warm-up practice. And before you consider going there, no, I'm not talking about doom and gloom. I'm just talking about where sometimes to get perfected, you got to grow in different areas too. It's great to know about finances. It's great to know how to apply the Proverbs and the Psalms in your daily walk. It's good to know about deliverance from different things that may be troubling you. It's also good to know about prayer as well too. In this areas where it's good to know how to spiritually fight back against the demons that are using people, places, and things. When you know how to come against them and put them out of commission, the devil and the demons are going to step back and realize they can't tread against you so easily. They can't come against you and what pertains to you so easily. In that area of growth, that's where you realize whether you're learning this area or you're experienced in it to some kind of measure or some kind of level. There's much more to this walk, to this regeneration, to this newness of life than just reading the word and for many out there, or some, as it is, because of how things are changing, of sitting down and going to service every opportunity that you get, whether it's within the weekday or on the weekend. So there's more to do out there on the physical side and on the spiritual side too. Because there's plenty of things out there where if you cut your guard down, you may be enticed to go after desires, to do your own will instead of the Father's will. And in the effort to do that, the body, whether it's locally, individually, or on the measure on a global scale, gets shortchanged, or there's an attempt to shortchange the power throughout the body of those born again, who are in the Lamb's Book of Life, and are filled with the Ruach HaKodesh. So them being shortchanged to some kind of measure of association with you or affiliation, even a soul tie, and then to have them to suffer for that desire to be satisfied is also not good either. So this is to inform those in the body and also to look out there as well as to look within to inspect yourself as well too, to make sure that you are within the faith, that you're walking in the faith, going along with the will of the Father. Because there are plenty of you out there as it is that can grow in plenty of areas still. And the Father can give us good finances, good health, good physique, good opportunities, as well as good advantages in this life too, before the kingdom. So there's also the other areas too of good amount of liberty and freedom, especially when you get the help that you need. That way you're able and more equipped to function and operate in more areas without having a schism within your members. Some people, they learn things. In other areas too, they get deliverance, prayer, and curses, as well as generational curses broken off of them. That way they're able to function and have a higher capacity and a use to the body. Because it is better to serve than to be served, because you find satisfaction in being able to serve to a greater level and greater capacity. And also, Yahshua HaMashiach, also known as Jesus Christ, made it known that to be great, you have to be a greater servant. So if you want to be great, you have to be serving to a greater capacity, to a greater level, to make yourself more willing to serve than to be served. And each person, each individual has their measure of faith. So you have faith given to you to operate in this area, that area over there too, as well as getting help needed to increase your faith to operate in other areas too. And in some cases, you may need prayer and the laying on of hands to have the imparting of gifts unto you as well too. That way you're able to function in those other areas too, as well. So when you're needed, you can, on those different tasks, you can be applied, be used for the Father's purpose. So in this whole process of growing and being perfected, what you need, what could be added unto you, there's plenty of opportunity to do so that what you need and what is also within your desires, what would be good for you, beneficial for you, without it taking you out of the faith, such as a lottery ticket, and you win tomorrow, for example, or you get the desires of your heart and it takes you out of faith. There's ways to receive things that you desire as well as need, so your wants and your needs can be met without it taking you out of the will of the Father. So that at the end of this, the goal within the walk, the journey of going on to perfection and being prepared for the kingdom, can go well for you too, so that you may be also found faithful in His sight. Because there are those who want to operate by works, so as long as they do all these many works and try to sneak in their will, their own will, and try to hide it in the midst of the Father's will and cause others to experience the consequences of that form of selfishness, of going contrary to the will of the Father, but try to squeeze the engine on Him. That's where they run the risk of, if they don't get the prayer that they need, the help that they need, and possible instruction, deliverance, and redirection, then all these good works they're trying to use, whether they're spiritual or physical, puts them in a condition where if they don't turn away from what they're doing, then at the judgment, when the books are open, they run the risk of those works that they were doing of not being remembered. So when they're going contrary to the will of the Father, and whatever they need and whatever they want, they try to gain it the wrong way by trying to do their own will instead of seeking the Father's will, even taking it in prayer as well as counsel to get the right counsel and the right information too. That way they are informed. And also, what is it too? Seek you first the kingdom of the Father, and all these things shall be added to you. So, there are those, as it is, as mentioned, where there's plenty of us who may not know someone who's trying to do their own will instead of the Father's will, and in their efforts to do their own will, trying to cause everyone else as many as possible to suffer so they can have it their way. And there's plenty of us wondering, why are we lacking in this, lacking in that, and such and so forth? Because of someone being involved in their own will, trying to pull the wool over our eyes so that they can satisfy their desires and their needs and their wants their way instead of the Father's way. And to get concrete for this here is, you have those where they want to minister the doctrine of celibacy and becoming an eunuch unto the Father, and trying to convince you that, if you desire marriage and such, then you're not spiritual enough. You must have lust issues, brother, sister. oh, well, if you try to seek marriage now, you might, shortchange the anointing, brother, sister. Oh boy, they're gonna try to find anything they can to take it out of context, try to get you into bondage, their bondage, because the Father's yoke and burden is light and easy. The Father got you out of captivity to bring you into His liberty, His freedom. And His yoke and His burden is there to train, discipline, instruct you, and prepare you for the kingdom. It's not supposed to be a cloak. Your liberty is not supposed to be a cloak for maliciousness, to do whatever inspires you to be evil. Because if you want to be evil and know how to give good gifts to other people, then why are you going to hold back others from receiving the good gifts of the Father? And then you have those on the other end too, where, sure, yes, there are many ways out there now, especially with artificial intelligence, as well as how different means, hands-on, as well as soft skills like computer skills, of gaining much gain. And it's smarter than working a 9 to 5. There are people who know how to do these things the legitimate way. That way they're able to bring in much gain. So they're able to have plenty of time and freedom to take care of greater things, such as the physical needs, learning a new skill, being perfected in different areas, and even areas too where if they're interested in and motivated to spend more time in the scriptures, especially the apocryphal books too, to really sit down, read, pray, and try to figure it out the more so. So when they read and hear the word, it makes more sense. And it starts to clarify more things now, and the more so as they have this scripture and that verse and that chapter and all these other details to comprehend it and how it can apply to their walk the more so. And if they minister their words too, especially to others within the body, they can share it to those in the body as well too. So yes, there are legitimate ways to get much gain. And learning these things and sharing it with one another so that everyone else can prosper and have that liberty to go into perfection the more so. Because there are those out there there are individuals who don't get it the right way. So when they want to get much gain, they try to find the shortcut. They try to find the way that brings much trouble as a result. Because it's warned there in the letters as well too, of piercing yourself with many sorrows just to get great wealth, to get great riches. So there are people who will financially enrich themselves the wrong way by trying to take a shortcut or trying to make the wrong kind of deals. And as a result, not only do they pierce themselves with many sorrows and receive an evil reward, and as well as a reward for wickedness, but anyone else in the body who could have received the good or have been affected by their actions, suffer, struggle, and have to endure through different areas and various means because of those bad choices that were made. Because there are plenty of people, individuals in the faith, who do not have to be living paycheck to paycheck, nor waiting on that project to go through, that sale, that commission, that plan to finally get off the ground and start bringing in income or money. Those in the faith do not have to struggle like that. Because of how things are now, sure, there's plenty of said individuals, especially on the other side, such as within the government, for example, that do not want to see another Black Wall Street to rise up. Yet, on the other hand, there are plenty of ways those in the body can elevate in the physical as well as in the spiritual areas to be more beneficial and of a help. That way, everyone else can receive the goods too, instead of having to endure and have as much faith as possible, patience and strength to go through it year after year, waiting for their ship to come in, where there's money, that promotion, that opportunity to make money, that breakthrough in their faith to operate in certain gifts, marriage, something that they were seeking to do. That way they can be more effective in what they do and the such. The body does not have to be struggling, stagnant, and being put in a reverse motion because of some individuals who want to do their will instead of helping everyone else to prosper and to remain within the Father's will. So this convicts you or someone else, then do what you need to do to turn from that and get it right with the Father. That way you remain in Him and He's gonna be with you still, so that His will be done here on earth as it is in the Shemayim, the heaven. Because even Yeshua HaMashiach, also known as Jesus Christ, said, Nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done, O Yahweh, Father. So, even He, Yeshua, remained within the Father's will, even to the very end. And he overcame death, and he was given his exaltation, his place and position in the kingdom, and satisfied the Father's will after being here on the earth for the time he needed to be here for the specific purpose. When he came to his own, and his own did not receive them, but as many as believed, he gave them power to become the children of the King, the children of Yahweh, sons and daughters of the King.